You are listening to the strongest podcast in CrossFit. This is the Type 1 Lifting Podcast. Before we start the show, I would like to thank the sponsors that are helping this podcast grow. The first one is Liberté Lifestyle. They have the best knee sleeves in the game. These knee sleeves are absolutely no joke. They gave me a promo code too as well, Type 1, to get 10% off each item you buy. They also have women's clothes, men's clothes, wrist wraps, pretty much you name it, they have it. And the second one is Hero Barbell. This barbell is by far the best barbell that I've ever used in the game. It is also one of the fastest growing barbell companies in the functional fitness community, as well as other branches in the fitness space. So they also gave me a promo code too as well, and which is Type 1, which gives you 10% off of their barbells. I'm telling you, the spin on these barbells are insane. These are the two sponsors I have, and I want to thank them so much for being a part of the show. And now, here we go. All right, guys, welcome to a new episode of the Type 1 Lifting Podcast. I haven't talked to this gentleman in about 2.5 years, roughly. He was on my first podcast. He was on the first year podcast where I had like literally, like just wooden walls. That's it. And it was not the prettiest sight, but now I got a whole new setup and I'm ready to talk about some new things. So the sexy man himself, Wykie Etsebeth, how you doing?
Great, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm pumped to be back 2.5 years later.
Yeah. It's funny. I still have the video. So after we did the podcast and you talked about me on your YouTube channel, I was watching it and I literally shit myself. And I'm like sitting there like this. Oh my God, he just said Type 1 Lifting. He said Tom Lennon. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like I still have the recording on my phone. I did a screenshot of it. So I screen a recording, but yeah, man,
That's unreal.
Yeah, it was such a great time. I can't believe it's been like 2.5 years that we haven't talked to each other.
I know. It's been too long.
I know. It's the
lots happened, yeah.
Yeah, whole COVID year and all that stuff. So yeah, it's it's great to see, you're doing some crazy things too. But before all of the content creation and stuff like that, I know you have a daughter. So I want to talk about like family life and stuff like that, because I have an 8-year-old son and I have a 5-year-old daughter. And so I kind of want to, my daughter's turning into like a little diva, I think. So I kind of wanted to get like a male perspective on, how do you handle like certain situations with your daughter, and like how do you, raise her to become, a great lady later on in life.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's a challenging time. My daughter's 11 and she's definitely coming out of that kind of kid stage into more of a preteen. So not as interested in, dolls and toys anymore. It's more about makeup and, friends and, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a challenging thing, and I'm learning lots. I definitely don't have all the answers, but I think me and my wife are doing a fairly good job. She's turning out to be a great little girl, and yeah, I'm definitely nervous for the teen years, the next kind of 5 to 6 years, going into 15, 16-year-old. It's going to be a wild ride, I'm sure, but we're ready for the challenge. So yeah, I mean, being a dad, it's by far my number one role in life. Is being a father. I love it. Yep. It's so challenging, so rewarding. And I try to be really intentional with her and really, cherish the time, whilst a kid, because, before you know it, she'll be an adult. So I'm trying to make the most of this time now and really appreciate what it is, which can be hard, when you're running a business and, you're someone who's driven and want to make things happen in life. You can easily neglect, other roles, but I'm trying my best to be intentional with it. So yeah, man.
Very cool. Very cool. So I know she's very interested in friends and all that stuff. So and obviously that's going to be taking more time away from you, but how do you guys connect to be like, a great, dad and daughter, combo? And you can include your wife too, but like, I just kind of the dad and daughter aspect.
Yeah, I think it's just trying to find, things that she's interested in and just trying to meet her there, like it's easy to try and, I always, I found myself in the early days trying to make her do the things that I love, like I try and get her involved in fitness because I love fitness, or, I try and take her to the driving range and hit balls because I love golf. And what I've realized is it should be the other way around. I should look at the things that she's interested in and try and really spend time there. So, if she's really into playing Minecraft, then instead of going, get rid of the iPad, turn that thing off, it's no good for you. She loves it. Why not actually look at what she's doing, look at what she's building, and try and learn a bit more about the thing that she loves. Um, or she loves makeup. So the other night I got her to. She's got this nighttime facial routine, and I said, "Hey, what why don't you take me? Why don't you take me through your nighttime facial routine and do it on me? Give me a facial, before I go to bed." So it's just, I think, just flipping the tables and not making it about her and really thinking about what she's interested in, and trying to really show her interest. I think that's really valuable. So yeah,
Please tell me you took a picture of the nightly facial
I don't
mask
know.
stuff.
I got plenty of photos of me, with makeup and cucumbers on the eyes. I don't think we took a photo this time around, but I've got plenty of those photos over the years for
God,
sure.
that'd be funny if you posted on social, posted on like Instagram or something like that, or even do it like a YouTube. Like, oh, I'm not telling you what to do, but like at least do it on YouTube, saying, "Hey, this is my daughter's like facial routine, and I'm gonna go through it." So
Totally, man. People would love it. I think most of my audience is kind of 35 to 55-year-olds, and predominantly males as well. So I do think people enjoy that real content because they can relate to it. They got kids as well. So yeah, it's tough, man. I think as a parent, you put so much pressure on yourself to create this great little human. You want them to succeed and be a great adult, and you put so much pressure on yourself to do things by the book. But everyone's story is different. Like everyone's kid's different, and so I think we've got to have a bit of grace for ourselves. I think if you focus on setting a great example, that's probably the main thing I've found is like if I just be a great male around her, she'll learn what a great male looks like, and
Mhm.
she'll look for that in life. And same with my wife. She just tries to be a good role model and in the way she treats me and the way she treats others. And kids pick up things, by just watching you. And I think that's way more powerful than trying to do things by the book. Because for me anyway, by the book hasn't really worked with my daughter.
Yeah,
I just continue to feel like I'm failing because I read about the principle in the book or what works for somewhere else, and it doesn't work for me, and you feel like you're failing. When it's like you got to take a bit of pressure off yourself and just as long as you're setting a great example around her, she's going to watch and learn from that. So
hmm
that's what I try and focus on. Yeah.
yeah. So how many times have you kind of let her off the hook a little bit? So like she's like, "Oh, I want candy" or something like that. It's like not the best option for her, but you're like, "Ah, screw it, go ahead." Just something like that.
Yeah, all the time. I mean, she's pretty spoiled. Like she's the only child. Um, but my story. We lost a little baby boy back in 2014, and I think for us because we weren't able to have more kids after Benji passed away. Um, we've kind of spoiled Kara because she's our only daughter, and you just end up, she's so precious to you that you do end up, overdoing things sometimes. So,
hmm
so yeah, I definitely naturally lean towards the spoiling and allowing things, and I've got to pull back a lot. So yeah, I let her off the hook all the time of things. But again, she sees dad exciting every day. She sees dad trying to eat healthy. I've got a real sweet tooth, so me and her, we'll grab a treat every now and then without mum knowing, and it's kind of our little thing, like when she's with dad, she gets to eat chocolate. When she's with mum, she doesn't, So it's kind of a cute little thing that we have.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's special as well. And again, like she's going to grow up and she'll be able to make her own decisions when it comes to health and all that stuff. So for now, yeah, I try and ease up and let her be a kid. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
does she have any interest in like what you're doing for like YouTube or anything like that? Does she see you like work really hard and she's like, "Hey, I may want to try that like later on in life or whatnot."
She actually just today, earlier today, asked me about editing software because she was filming herself on her iPad. I think she was filming her makeup routine on her
Okay.
iPad, and she wanted to know what the best software was to kind of edit the video. So she's showing a bit of interest in that, and then she follows a few YouTubers. People like she follows one lady that does like slime, great slime, and
Oh, those are so huge. It's insane.
yeah, so she's got a whole lab, and our laundry is just slime everywhere at the moment. Um, so yeah, so she follows a few YouTubers, and then she sees her dad making videos. So yeah, she definitely has an interest in it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And like you're
yeah,
not the type of person that would like pressure her in that stuff too, because for example, like my son, he has a podcast called Curiosity and the Kid, and like we were doing it like every week, but it got to the point where like I didn't want to pressure him into creating more episodes unless he wanted to do it. And then like,
exactly.
he's taking a break and then finally he's like, oh, starting to say like, "Hey, can we do another episode? Can we do like," and I'm like, "Yeah, sure, let's go." And so, and it's like even with working out too, like he'll see me working out in the basement or getting seeing like videos of me in the gym and whatnot. And so he's like, okay, can I start working out with you? And so, and then like I'll do whenever he wants to stop, I'm gonna say, yeah, that's perfectly fine. Just stop. So is that kind of the same what you do?
Yeah, it's a fine line, between allowing your kids to just do things on their own terms, but at the same time, obviously, want to encourage them, to do well and to try things as well. It is tough. I try and make it seem like it's their idea, well, like it's her idea, So obviously, I want her to be an active kid, but she's not that sporty. Like she's not that interested in sport as such. But I'll try and somehow, engineer it so it seems like it's her idea that we take the dogs for a walk together, or that we, do a 20-minute stretch together, or whatever it is.
Mhm.
So yeah, but at the same time, you're right. It's got to come from them, especially when it comes to when they're young, and it comes to like career interests. I think a lot of parents can be way too intense about their kids pursuing, starting to develop skills at the age of like 10 or 11 for their career.
Yeah.
And like, this, who knows what she's going to be and what she's going to do. So yeah, I just try and encourage her to do all sorts of stuff. But yeah, you're right. It's got to come from them, especially if
Mhm.
it's something like a YouTube channel. That's very important. There's no pressure for them to have to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So do you show her like any like CrossFit athletes or any other athletes in general, or like any people that that you may have an influence on, that's like a female that you say, hey, this is a female that I follow, and like, you should just take a look at what she does, or this is what she's done. So do you kind of like steer in a path to, show people like, hey, these are some people you may want to like, not emulate, but just like, look to see how they do it.
Yeah, I think we're really lucky that we have a great church community that we're really heavily involved with, and there's a lot of great ladies, great younger females in
Mhm.
the church that kind of are really intentional about hanging out with the young ones and kind of mentoring them as such. So we've got like three of our kind of youth leaders that take some of the young ones out and invest in them and kind of just set the example for them. So that's we're really set up in that sense. Yeah, not specifically fitness as such, although she does, I watch a lot of CrossFit stuff. So she sees fit, healthy, females working out and pushing themselves. So she gets a bit of exposure to that. But yeah, she hasn't really shown interest in specific athletes. Like she doesn't follow, she's not a fan of like Mel O'Brien or, Catherine Davis. Like she's not really
Yeah,
a sports fanatic as such. So she hasn't really like lashed onto any athletes. Yeah. But she does have some great role models, which is really important. Yeah.
that's good. Well, she must like
Yeah.
Taylor Swift though.
She's, oh, bro. Yeah, that's her number one goal in life right now, is to try and get to a Taylor Swift concert.
Okay.
I think Taylor Swift's come to Australia early in the new year, but it's all sold out. So yeah, she's got all the posters on a wall, and she's a big Swiftie. Yeah.
You know what I've heard? So I don't know if this is true or not, but I bet I can imagine this is true. So supposedly full-grown women wear diapers during the concerts because they don't want to leave their spot and miss like a single second of the concert, because obviously like the women's line is like really long, but yeah, they wear diapers so they can just watch the whole show and not worry about going to the bathroom.
I believe it. It's wild, but I believe it.
Yeah.
Isn't that insane? That's a little bit sad, to be honest.
Yeah, I
But
agree. I was like,
that's crazy.
you're literally like, your life is like revolving around this like one person that doesn't even know who you are. Like, yeah, you're a fan,
Yeah.
but she has no clue. She doesn't, she doesn't
Yeah,
know
that's
you.
right.
So why spend your time with that?
Yeah, exactly. I think, yeah, a lot of people do that. People are, just want to latch onto something, have some kind of meaning or be part of some kind of group where they can find identity, and often that's with celebrities and artists and whatnot. It's yeah, it's not great, to be honest. I don't think so. Yeah, so we try to really. It's a tough one again, because as a young girl, they do really idolize these people, but we try and stay away from that word idolize, and try and get it to understand that this is a normal person. She's got great gifts and does great music, but you don't have to like worship her as such. There's more
Yeah.
to life than Taylor Swift. Yeah, we try and talk a little bit about that as naturally as we can. But yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So I know back when we talked before, I actually I know we were talking about like HWPO, like trying to get involved with them and stuff like that. And I sent an email to O'Keefe and I'm like, hey, you really need to get this guy on the team. And he's like, yeah, and he sent me an email back saying like, hey, we're really like looking at this guy. And so when you finally got the green light to work with HWPO. Like, what was your reaction when you first started? Like when you first got the initial, like, hey, we want you to come down, and then going to Matt's place up in Vermont. Like, what was that whole situation like?
Yeah, it was a dream, and it's still so surreal that I'm now very much part of the HWPO family. 3 years later, I feel like I'm part of the crew now.
Hmm.
But looking back, we were in Queenstown on a family holiday when I found out, when Sammy emailed me and said, "Hey, we want you to come out." And it was literally during COVID, so there was no flights. You couldn't actually fly unless you got an exemption from the Australian government. So I had to write a letter to the Australian government to see if I could somehow get to the CrossFit Games.
Hmm.
And I think in the letter I just said something like, I'm going to go there and document the Australian athletes to kind of showcase our great country's CrossFit athletes. I wasn't going there for any Australian athletes, but I got the green light from the government. And then the next step was to try and find a flight, but the only flights you could get was business class flights. There were no economy seats that you could book. So I had to book these $15,000 return flights to the States. And I just said to my wife, like, this is going to be an investment in my future. I'm going to just take the step of faith, take the plunge, and hopefully this will turn into something great. And it has. Like, it's now, I've done 3 years in a row for them at the games, and the opportunities that have come from that, and just the friendships and the connections, has been well worth it. So, yeah, so I mean, year 1 and 2, I paid my own way, and in year 3, they've started paying for me to come over, which is so generous. Because
Yeah.
they could just use someone. They could just use someone locally. There's some great creators there, but that's the kind of people they are. Just really family focused and really like loyal to their crew. So yeah, it's still unbelievable for me, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was it meeting Matt and Sammy for the first time?
It was the best. Like, it's one of those classic ones where they say, "Don't meet your heroes." You might be disappointed, and it was the opposite with Matt. I remember my flights were delayed. I was supposed to arrive like 10 at night, which is a reasonable time, and I was delayed, and I didn't arrive for like 2 a.m. in the morning. And Matt picked me up at Vermont airport. There's like no one there, just me meeting Matt, and it was just so, yeah, just so natural and crazy. Like, he's just a dude. He's just
Yeah.
a down to earth dude, and Sammy's a sweetheart. It was honestly so easy. Yeah, like from their side, it was supernatural. I was obviously starstruck, and it took me a while to kind of get over the fact that I was, staying a few days at Matt's house and shooting guns in the backyard and whatnot. It was unreal. But yeah, so grateful. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, like, how was shooting the guns when the cops showed up too?
Yeah, that's right. You saw the vlog. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was insane. Yeah, and just watching him, like, just how cool he was with the cops, and and just he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew that he was, it was all legal, and he had it all sorted. The range was all, whatever regulations you needed to have in place, he had in place. And yeah, he's just the nicest guy, man. He's just such a down to earth dude. In fact, he's such an introvert and actually quite shy. Like, I tell the story when I film at HWPO at the gym, when I film him and the athletes, he's always getting out of the way of the camera because he always feels like he's in the way. He's like, "Oh, I don't want to get in the way of your shots." And it's like, "No, Matt, you're supposed to be in the shot. Like, I'm filming you.
Yeah.
You're the star." But he doesn't want to get in your way, and he just wants to, So he's like that. He's just so humble and so doesn't want to be the center of attention ever. Which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I know when you stayed in Vermont, you actually, I think you were you were sleeping in a bunk bed with Jake Marconi.
That was in Madison.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so the first year I stayed at Matt and Sammy's house, just me by myself, just the three
Oh,
of us.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was actually it was my birthday while I was there. So I think we were about to have dinner, and Sammy made a lasagna, and my wife rang me because it was the morning of my birthday in Australia, but it was like the night time there. And so my wife rang me, FaceTime me to say happy birthday, while we're waiting for Sammy to bring the food out. So they overheard the conversation with my wife that it was my birthday. So Sammy found a candle and popped in my lasagna, and then came out, and her and Matt sung happy birthday for me. My birthday, just the three of us having dinner together. So that was really special. And yeah, and then me and Jake shared a hotel room at Madison at the games. Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I thought I saw like one of the videos. I don't know if it was yours video or one of Matt's videos that he has a bunk bed in one of his rooms, and
Yeah.
then I for some reason he said that you were and Jake Marconi were. I don't know if I heard it wrong, but like I thought you two were sleeping in the same, like, you guys were sleeping on the bunk beds.
Yeah. So they used to have bunk beds in there. It's now their daughter's room, but yeah, unfortunately, me and Jake didn't get the pleasure of sharing sharing the bunk beds, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So what
Yeah.
was it? What was it like? Well, obviously, it was probably your first time in the Northeast. So what was it? What was it like in Vermont during the summertime for you?
Oh, it was beautiful. Yeah, it was unreal. I think Matt just bought these two little motorbikes, so we were like, using the little motorbikes around the property, and it's just so lush and green. It's a beautiful spot where they are. Everything just seems like big, oversized. I guess that's pretty normal for America, but just the trucks and the roads and the barns, everything's just big, and it's a beautiful part of the world. I loved it. I was only there for 2 or 3 days, and we spent most of it at the property.
Yeah,
So I didn't get to see a whole lot. But then when I went this year, they've now got the new HQ, and so we were going kind of between their house and HQ. So I got to see a bit more of Vermont. But yeah, no, I loved it. Yeah.
very cool, very cool. So obviously, like working with the WHPO, I mean HWPO. Geez. So
There it is.
it's a little tongue twister, but you're filming them and you're getting the content and all that jazz. And so there was other content creators there too as well, correct? So
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
yep. So what have you learned from the other content creators that you kind of moved into your YouTube channel as well as like filming, for HWPO?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many great creators across the space. It's unreal to go to the games or the Wodapalooza, and there's quite literally 100, maybe 100 to 500 people with cameras. Like there's so many creators, and so there's definitely some standouts. And I mean, HWPO always they seem to the ones they use are great, great creators. So like Eric, who's the guy that worked with me the first year, just an amazing photographer, Eric Castanos. I think from him, yeah, just his videos and his photos are so aesthetic, like it takes so much time with the framing and yeah. So I've learned a bunch from him when it comes to just camera settings. He's very technical. So some people you learn the technical settings from. Other people are really good at the gear, like they know what gear to use and got all the tips and tricks of the gear. So you got to pick up a little bit of a bit of something everywhere. And then obviously you're trying to make it your own. Like you're trying to still be unique and not be the same as everyone else. So I think for me, like always tried to I'll set myself apart through the storytelling. So whether I do a 20-minute YouTube video or a 15-second reel, I always try and tell a little story. Like if it's a 15-second reel, I don't want it to just be a random shot of someone working out. I want it to be a bit of a storyline through it. So because these days, to be honest, anyone can grab a camera and jump on YouTube and learn how to shoot videos and photos. So you got to really, I think you got to really focus on the story. What's the story here that people are going to be, captivated by? So this year was cool to shoot Katrin, like the Matt Katrin coach athlete.
Yeah, I saw that video. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, it was such an easy video to shoot because Kat's so great in front of the camera, and Matt's such a passionate coach. So it was such a fun year where I could go behind the scenes and just get that coach athlete perspective. It was amazing. Yeah.
So
if anyone has, yeah.
Yeah. So what was the video? What was the section of like the content you were creating for that video that really stuck out to you and said, man, like this is definitely going to be in the video?
Oh, let me think. I think, man, there's so many cool moments. I think Kat, like obviously Kat had a few rough years, and she just moved camps over to HWPO. And I think just realizing the history that Kat and Matt has and just how they got a really deep friendship that's gone a long way back. I don't think people realize that. So you kind of think, oh yeah, these athletes know each other, but those two they've been friends for a long time. Obviously Matt used to train with Kat at Contrain under Ben Bergeron back in the day. So they have a lot of history. And so, just seeing how intimate and how special their friendship was, especially towards the end of the video, at the end of the games, like, there's them embracing and Matt telling Kat how proud she was of him or how proud he was of her. I think she kind of broke down and because she was so happy that she was back in the top 10, and she was so excited for the next season. So I think just that last 10 minutes of the video was really special. It really showcased just how special their friendship is, and I knew people would love that. So yeah, it was cool.
Awesome. Now, question about this one. So if you, since I know Matt and Katrin has like a long friendship, like since CompTrain, do you think if Matt was her training partner through the whole process, do you think she'd be winning more championships, or do you think she'd be kind of where she's at right now?
No, I don't know how much him as an athlete would benefit her, because I think he needs to be so selfish I think he can give it a lot more now that he's focused as a coach. So he he's an all-in kind of guy, you know. So when he's an athlete, he's an athlete. Nothing else matters. You know, you've heard him on all the content he's put out. It's very clear that he only cared about one thing, that was winning the CrossFit Games. That's all he cared about. No one else, nothing else mattered. So I don't think he would have been able to give much to anyone else, other than, you know, being a great training partner. But even then, he probably won all the workouts. It was pretty demotivating as an athlete to just get beaten time and time again in training. So it might have been even detrimental to her performance, to be honest. But now as a coach, he's channeling all that passion he used to have as an athlete. He's channeling that toward being a coach. And he's a great coach. Like, he fires up. He lives out what the athlete's going through on the field. Like, if you watch him, you know, while he's watching a workout, he's on the edge of a seat. You know, he's like just jumping, and he's living what's going on out there. So he's a great coach, and I think I'm excited to see how Cat goes this year again. You know, like a second year under Matt.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Awesome. So have you given him any coaching tips at all? Like, since you were a former box owner, being like, hey, you know, the way I taught my guys, or this, and this, or like when I ran this box, you know, I did this, and this.
There's no freaking way. No, no, I haven't. I mean, to be honest, I thought about it, because they got a few young coaches. They got a young coach called Josh, and I want to say he's early 20s, like 23, 24.
Mm-hmm.
And he's coaching. He's Amanda Barnett's kind of, you know, coach at the games and stuff. And yeah, I was thinking about that. Like, I felt, I was like, I'm a videographer, but I've got a wealth of knowledge when it comes to coaching. And I was kind of thinking, I wonder if I could coach a games athlete, you know. But it's a hard thing. It's a pretty stressful environment that week, you know. The athletes it's their one chance, and as a coach, you just got to make sure, you know, keep them calm. And yeah, I don't know, it'll be a tough job, as, you know, being a games athletes coach.
Yeah. I think if you're a games athlete coach, that's like your one focus. You really can't venture out into anything else. So like, obviously with like doing YouTube content, there's like going to be like long nights, and you're going to be waking up like groggy and like trying to watch them and be half asleep, and you're like, yeah, look, that looks good, or something like that. And I can't really focus well. So yeah, that's a hard job to do.
Yeah. I mean, these athletes it's an emotional roller coaster, you know. Like, I mean, some of them are pretty level-headed, and like watching Kat, she wasn't that stressed throughout the weekend. She was pretty happy, you know, happy-go-lucky kind of attitude. But imagine being like Daniel Brandon's coach, you know, for example, or just someone who's a lot more emotional, even like a Jason Hopper, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be tough, you know, to kind of ride those highs and lows with him, you know. So yeah,
so
it's interesting to watch.
Yeah. So can you tell me a story of when Matt talked to, or like Jake talked to their athletes, if they had like a rough time at an event and they were kind of like really down? Did you videotape, or like have you seen any reactions, or, you know, talking back and forth about, hey, you know, this is just, you know, just forget about it, be a goldfish, you know, just switch it off, and then, you know, wait for the next one?
Yeah, I heard Matt say to Kat after a bad event, he said, "You got 5 minutes. I'll give you 5 minutes to kind of mourn and, you know, think about it and feel sorry for yourself and do whatever you want to do. But once the 5 minute clock's over, we're moving on. It's in the past, you know." So that was really cool to see him kind of go, "Hey, I'll give you 5 minutes, you know, to kind of, you know, cry your tears, do what you have to do, like go bash something or do whatever you have to do. But once that 5 minute clock hits, we're moving on. Next workout, let's go, you know." So I think it's kind of like the HWPO attitude of all the coaches and athletes. Yeah, it's try and move on pretty quickly.
Yeah. Have you any times that, like, when Matt said, "Don't film this"?
Oh, hell yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, there's definitely times where he's like, "Hey, no camera." He's very good like that. Like, he's very straight up. You don't have to guess. You don't have to second guess like what he's feeling or thinking. He's pretty straight up. Like, if he doesn't want you to be around, he'll tell you. You know. So and I appreciate that. You know, it can be a bit tough at first when you're, you know, a new videographer and you're just like, you know, so excited to be there and you want to tell a good story, you want to capture everything. It's pretty rough that first time you hear, you know, you kind of get that call from Matt to back off. But I appreciate it, you know, like it is helpful as well. I'd hate to put something in the video that, you know, he didn't want to be in there. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So does he watch all the videos too before they get put out at all, or how does that work?
No, not Matt doesn't, but Sammy and the team. So Presley is now the kind of, I guess, the head of marketing or the, you know, head of media. So yeah, they've got Sammy and Presley kind of look over it and give the final sign off, ask for any changes. I'm not even sure if Matt watched the videos. So I hope he does. I don't know. Yeah, he's pretty focused. On the athletes and the coaching side of things. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, have you been to their new gym in Vermont, or so what is that like? Like when you walked in there, were you like just mouth just dropped of like all the equipment and like the rigs and all that stuff? Like, what was your first reaction when you saw it?
Honestly, I think it's perfect. Like it's not actually over the top. It's got everything you need, but it's not over the top. So, they've got enough equipment for, 12, 16 people to train at once. They've got like a special a rig that's built like the one at the regionals or the games. That's a separate area of the gym, I guess. That's kind of for simulating games workouts or regional type workouts. But yeah, this is a beautiful space. It's just yeah, it's perfect. It's just perfect. And from a content perspective, like having the black and the grays, they've really thought about. I think they've really thought about how content would present in that space as well, because it is a beautiful spot to film in.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, it's not overkill, but it's just right. It's got the ice bath, it's got the sauna, some offices. Yeah, just classic. Yeah,
Yeah. So, have you been
yeah.
up there during the wintertime?
No, I've only been there during the game season. Yeah, yeah.
Dude, like so I'm from Massachusetts, which is like right below Vermont, and like obviously Burlington gets hammered with snow, but like it is not fun during the wintertime because it is cold as hell.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'll just keep going there during the game season. Enjoy the summer times there. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
could be a snowbird from Australia. Just like go for like when it's getting wintertime in
Uh,
Australia, just go to the United States.
exactly. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this year goes with with things being in Texas, and it's gonna be interesting to see how it all shakes up and how it changes. Yeah.
Yeah. So did they? I'm trying to remember. Do they have the dates set out already for the Texas already?
I'm not sure. Not sure if they've actually released dates. They've definitely released the dates for the regionals and the locations. I'm not sure about the games. Yeah, probably not. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So if you go to Texas with HWPO, are you going to get a big belt, Texas size belt buckle?
100%. You know
Get the get the
it.
get the
Yeah,
boots and the hat and everything?
yeah. I guess so. I'm thinking about taking my family with me this year for the first time. So yeah, it'd be cool to get a bit of a Texas experience and yeah, kind of share that experience with my daughter, and my wife. It'd be cool. Yeah,
Yeah, it's hot down there during
I
this
can
during that
imagine.
time. It is really hot.
Yeah.
But so when you go to these events, what do you typically bring? Because obviously flying from Australia to the United States, it's difficult because I mean, I don't know how many bags you pack, but like, what do you typically bring for, gear so you can be able to film what you need?
Yeah, I actually travel pretty light, to be honest. Like I'm not a big gear guy. I think the smaller my setup can be, the better. Like I want to be nimble, especially because my stuff's vlog style. I don't want to be thinking about extra piece of equipment other than just what I need to focus on. So I actually travel really, really light. You'd be surprised at how little I travel with. I do take my drone with me every year. Other than that, I've got two camera bodies, maybe three lenses, and my drone, and it all fits in my backpack that I take on carry on. So I don't check in my camera gear. I just keep it on me for the whole trip. And then, yeah, there's lots of clothes, lots of change of clothes and shoes and a bit of training gear. I take my knee sleeves and my grips and my skipping rope just in
Nice.
case.
Yeah.
I never get to train as much as I'd like, but yeah, no, I actually travel pretty light. Yeah, don't go too crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I remember in your vlog when you came back to Australia, you had to stay in a hotel room for like 2 weeks roughly. So
yeah, man.
obviously, like what was your mindset going like just sitting there? Well, obviously you had an assault bike from your friends and like other things, but I mean, it was a small area from where I saw in the video, but what like how was your mental space in that whole 2 weeks if you just locked into that hotel room?
Yeah, I think the saving grace for me was that I've just come off this amazing experience for the first time with HWPO at the CrossFit Games. So I've come off this massive high, and I've had all this content to kind of work with and edit and play with. But it was an awful 2 weeks, honestly. Like I consider myself a pretty stable, like mentally stable person, and I was finding it really challenging. So the room I was in, there was no windows. I couldn't open the windows up. I could look out the windows, but I couldn't get fresh air. And then they would like knock on the door to give you a food and then close it, so you couldn't go out at all. So I was literally stuck in just a little single bedroom
Mhm.
for 2 weeks straight. It was awful. It was a really terrible time. So I was I was 2 weeks in the States and then 2 weeks in the hotel room. So a month away from the family. And the worst thing was I was up in Brisbane, so I'm like an hour from home, but just knowing I can't get out for 2 weeks before I see my family, it was torture. It was, something I don't really agree with, but yeah, it was awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awful time. Yeah.
And like, luckily you had friends of yours, like you brought, like in the video, they brought the assault bike and other things. So what kind of workouts were you doing in the 2 weeks you were there? Or did you barely do any workouts and just kind of like, just
Yeah.
lump it on,
I
just
try.
lazy?
Yeah. I try to do something every day, but honestly, your mood and your drive, your desire just goes downhill so fast that I reckon I would have done maybe 5 workouts over the 14 days, and they would have been rubbish workouts. Like it gets so stuffy in the room, like there's no ventilation, there's no, so you're sweating up a storm in this little room. So yeah, I don't know. I did a few. I can't even remember. They weren't significant workouts. I just binged. I pretty much watched all of Netflix. I completed Netflix. I was on my bed just watching Netflix for 2 weeks straight. It was probably the worst 2 weeks of my life. It was awful. I don't wish
Yeah.
it on anyone to do isolation in a hotel for 2 weeks. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
brutal.
That's insane. Insane. Like I can't imagine it doing it in the States too. So,
Oh, yeah, it's awful, man.
I mean, even
Yeah.
with my son, and I got it. Like I was, luckily I had a TV, and I had I got COVID twice, and so I was down in the basement just like all by myself because I was like had COVID. So they gave me like 2 water jugs, and I was like doing workouts with the water jugs and like just huffing, just like dying because of like I couldn't breathe that well. And then after a while, I was just like, okay, like this is not fun anymore. Just I was watching like
Nah.
lame movies just to get the time go by and then go to sleep. And it's I can't imagine being 2 weeks just locked up in there because I could have gone outside and
Yeah.
just chilled out.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't really sleep that much. I sleep like 7 hours a night. So you try and sleep more, but it's hard to kind of force yourself to sleep. Yeah, I don't even know how I got through it, man. It's hard to even think back to it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I was blocked out of my memory for the most part. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
then you just like, went back home and started creating more, YouTube content and stuff like that. So did you see like an uptick of views after, working with Matt and all those guys?
I think I had a few great moments that I filmed. Like I filmed Tia coming out of the water that year
Yeah.
on event number one. You've probably seen the video where she comes out of the water and just like fist pumps and screams. Like she looks straight at my camera and screamed. So I captured that moment and that I created a reel out of that, and that really kind of went
That
viral.
blew
And
that blew up. I remember
yeah, it blew
that.
up massively. Yeah, so there's kind of two ways of growth. Like there's that kind of growth, which is not, it's got nothing to do with me. It's not about who I am as a person, or it's all about how amazing Tia is. Like obviously I captured the video, but the reason it went viral is because of who Tia is, not because of what I've done. So you have that kind of viral growth, but then I think for me it's more um, just the internal validation of knowing that I'm good enough to work for someone like Matt, and
Hmm.
and just the people you meet, the connection you make. Those are the really valuable things. Yeah, so I don't think it was like a necessarily a significant uptake in my personal content viewing, but I knew that my network was strengthened, and I met some awesome people. I knew that that will just slowly roll onto more opportunities, which it has. So yeah, I try and think of it that way more these days, more like depth rather than width. You get your viral videos, which kind of like this vanity metrics. Really, they're fun. It's awesome to wake up to 50,000 new subscribers.
Yeah.
Um, but it's also not fun to think about. They're not really here for me. They kind of came here because they think they're following Tia or whatever. They're not really here for me in my backyard gym. And those are the subscribers that I really care about, are the people that actually are invested into my story and my life. So I'd rather have less subscribers and less views, but people that are really really into it
Yeah.
and really invested in my stuff. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So what are
So,
some of the things that you've, after working with Matt, that have come up to you, like companies or whatnot, you're like, holy cow, like this company's reaching out to me to work with them, or I get to, film this person or whatnot. Like what are some of the things that you thought would never happen but actually came true to you?
I think I've had some great opportunities just to go to local. Like there's some events in New Zealand, just across the ditch from us here in Australia, where they've flown me out to come and be part of the weekend. Like they've paid for my expenses to just come and be part of the comp, just because I know that I'm a Matt's videographer and I'll create some cool videos. So Recently, there was a competition in Perth, Australia, which is really like another country for us. It's like a 6-hour flight across the country from where I am to Perth.
Mm.
They had a big event there, and they flew out, the three male games athletes from Australia. So Jay Crouch, Bailey Martin, and Jake Douglas. They flew those three boys out, and I was the fourth person they flew out. So I was like, oh, I've got these three games athletes, and then this creator. So it's cool just to have those opportunities where they wouldn't have flown me out there if I wasn't, the HWPO videographer at the games. So there's been things like that. It's been really cool, and there's lots of athlete managers. So there's managers that manage athletes, and they will tell a brand that, hey, so let's say the athlete is a sponsor, for example. So Jay Crouch, he's sponsored by Reebok, and so his manager told Reebok that, hey, we only want to work with Wykie. And so stuff like that, it helps a ton from a financial. It really helps me with my what I earn, every year, and just gets him some cool jobs. So it's cool that the athletes, managers, and their team kind of recognize me and know who I am. So it helps them, even if the brand doesn't know who I am, the kind of manager makes it happen. They trust what I do. So yeah, it's been really cool, man.
That's awesome.
I'll probably never know the full impact of of what it's done. So it's cool.
Yeah, I love the workout videos that you do. And so one of the questions I have, so you always, like, when you get ready for set up for like a lift or something like that, you go like like where did that come from?
I don't know. I think it may be from being a youngster doing bodybuilding workouts. Maybe me and my mates used to. Maybe it was a thing that we used to do, and it stuck. It's like the 60 beast thing. Like someone called me a 60 beast at school. 30 years ago, or 25 years ago, and it just kind of stuck. So I can't remember where the SAR came from, but that's just become a thing. It's like SAR, like let's go. It's just that, hypes me up.
Yeah. Everyone has like little quirks that I do. Like I set up and I just I stomp on the ground twice with my right leg, and that's pretty much it. Or just to get a good grunt out. That's it. But yeah, okay, all right.
And, when you're a content creator, that's the thing that people kind of when you have these little nuggets, little quirks about yourself, that's what people really kind of latch onto. They go, that's what the stuff they remember. And you can create more things along those lines. So you could create a t-shirt that says SAR on it, and all the people that watch my stuff could buy the shirt that says SAR because they get it, So yeah, it's cool to have those little nuggets that's kind of special to you, like unique to you as a person. Yeah.
Very cool, very cool. So you were recently at the Down Under Championship. So with those guys and stuff like that. So when you got there, what was their expectations of you creating content for that competition?
Yeah, so it kind of evolved from last year. So last year was the first time they kind of ran it. It actually used to be a comp back in the day that they kind of brought back, but so I'd say it was year one of the new iteration of the Down Under Championships. Mm-hmm. The first time they brought over like international athletes and stuff like that. So last year they asked me to kind of run the media, and they said to me, we want you to do whatever you did at Torian. So whatever you created at Torian Pro, just duplicate that here. And I said to them, look, I've got this guy that's worked under me as my second in charge guy at Torian. How about I give him the job, and I'll create some vlogs while I'm there for myself, and then I'll just give him anything that he needs. If he needs some footage that I captured, I can give it to him and kind of help him. So that was year one. So I kind of did a combination of vlogging and helping the event with their content. And he did a great job. His name's Theo. He did a great job. And then this year he ran it by himself. And I said to the event, I'd love to come down and just do my own thing. Like I don't want to work for you guys. I don't want to work for anyone else. If you'd be happy to give me behind the scenes access, I can just create some great vlogs and just showcase the event. So it was actually my very first event that I've gone to and not shot for any brand. So I didn't have any paid jobs. I was just like, I'm here to create my own vlogs. And the guys were great. They gave me full access behind the scenes. I can just, wander around the warm-up zone. And so it's cool for them to it's cool to know that they see the value in having me there, even though I'm not actually creating for the event. I think I created 3 or 4 vlogs there, and they went really well. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I liked it when Jake Douglas told the story of how he got kicked off the team.
Yeah.
The video.
Yeah,
that was pretty funny. And then like obviously the Noah Olson was like in between the ski erg, and he's like, "Did you see my elf ears?" I thought that was pretty funny. So, but totally. So what was it like having like all those American athletes and other athletes from like different countries coming in for a competition like this? And then obviously they know you. So, what were you like what was your expectations for talking to them and kind of vice versa?
Yeah, well, that's the coolest thing is that there's now, if you take me back 4 years, I didn't know any of these athletes, didn't have any of these networks. So it's pretty crazy to look back over the last 4 years and go, man, I've got this international network now of friends that will come to my country and compete, and we'll just kind of head off like we just saw each other yesterday. Like Noah's a great example. I met
Yeah.
Noah in 2019 in Hawaii, and then yeah, now we're good buddies now. I took some photos for him and Joanne for when they got engaged
Oh, cool.
at the games. Yeah, he asked me to say, hey, I've got some rings and I want you to take some photos of me and Joanne by it's by the water. So it's cool to have those things happen. Yeah, I mean, it's awesome for us in Australia. We're so isolated over here. It feels like sometimes it feels like we really miss out on the bigger CrossFit experience as such. So it's really cool to have the Americans come over and get in the mix. And they seem to love it. They really embrace all the Aussie things. I think with the girls, Danny Spiegel's team on the last workout, they all had these oversized shirts on, and they had like Australian animals. I think Danny wore like a kangaroo, and then Jesse wore like a koala, and it's really cool how they kind of embrace the Aussie experience while they're here and really get into it.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool. Yeah. So what athlete that you thought you kind of knew, but then you actually met them in person, like totally changed your perspective on them?
Ooh. Sheesh. I'm trying to think. I mean, James Newbury would be a classic. Like if I look back at yeah. I mean, James Newbury's a special one. Like I think I always looked up to James before I met him. I always looked up to him as an athlete. I always always knew he was a great athlete. But then when I met him, just he's probably been like blown me away the most with his kindness and just genuineness, I guess. Actually, yeah, Jay Crouch the same. Like just the nicest guys. Like they treat you like you're the superstar. Like they always hype your stuff up that you're doing. Like James Newbury, he's a vegan. Like he's got a plant-based protein company, and he's just like hyping up and telling everyone about my meat business I've started. I've started a dried meat company, and here's this vegan, like just because I'm his friend and he believes in me. He's hyping up my company that kind of goes against the stuff that he believes in, but my friendship to him is more important, to him than he can kind of put that stuff aside and still champion me, even though we've got some differences in that sense. Yeah, he's one guy who really blew me away when I met him for the first time. Pat Vellner, same thing. Like Pat Vellner and Michelle picked me up in Hawaii. I was walking along the road to the gym, and they pulled up and picked me up. And again, just I mean, all these CrossFit athletes are pretty down to earth people. They all kind of blow you away when you meet them. Yeah, there's no one who really stands out because they've all been pretty crazy to meet. Yeah, maybe someone will come up while we chat, but I can't think of anyone in particular. Yeah.
Yeah. So after the Down Under Championship, you actually went to Sweden too, to see. You went to the Butcher Box, which from what you said, what looked like in the video, it looked like a pretty sick box.
Yeah, super unique. Yeah, it's my second time in Denmark. The gym hasn't changed that much. It's just super unique. They've just kind of embraced. It literally used to be an old butchery, and so they've just embraced that look. They haven't tried to change it. They kept the the little white tiles that you see in these old school horror movies. And the butchery, they've kept that look. They've still got the same beams. You kind of imagine these big carcasses hanging off these big beams they go across. And they just create a really cool vibe, cool gym in there, and they kind of they lean into it, they lean into I think they call the coaches, what do they call them? Some weird name.
I literally saw the video today too, and I literally can't remember what they say.
Slaughtermaster.
Okay.
Slaughtermaster. Yeah. I think it's they call the coaches Slaughtermasters. So yeah, it's cool, man. It's a really unique gym. I love going to boxes that are a little bit quirky like that. They kind of got a bit of a different vibe to everyone else. Yeah, those boys are very creative and very good businessmen. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you went to the Eleiko headquarters too, which was probably a bucket list. It could have been a bucket list for you. So what would that video when you went in there and kind of learned and kind of understood the barbell, and then you snuck in the back with the camera, kind of walking and made yourself a barbell. So what was that whole environment like?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, again, that's another opportunity where they flew me over to just come and be part of this event to create a couple of videos for myself, not for them. That's another great opportunity that's come from, I think, from being at HWPO and all that. So yeah, I mean, Eleiko, it's huge. Like it's like the Rogue of Europe, I guess. It's massive, and so yeah, they do things so well. The Swedes, it's just everything's just perfect. It's just clean and measured and perfect. They're so methodical and intense about what they do. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool to experience such a beautiful space, and the gear is really amazing. Like it's awesome to use. They actually gave me. I'll show you these real quick. They gave me a couple of sets of these. Like C clips.
Yeah, C clips. Yep.
Yeah. I've never seen them before, but they're so nice, and so I've been using those every day in the gym. So yeah, it was a crazy experience. It was cool.
Yeah, and it looks like they had like a little bar next to like the deadlift platform that they were next to. So
Yeah.
and like it looked like so clean and so nice over there. And you PR'd your back squat. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank
So
you. Yeah.
so looking at that gym and obviously the butcher box too, do you see some ideas from those two places to kind of update your home gym? You're like, hey, maybe I could put this in here. Maybe I could put that in there.
No, I don't think so. I think they are such a different level. Like I mean, Laker is obviously it's a world class facility. Millions of dollars of of equipment there and stuff. And they kind of host professional athletes. Like Olympic lifting teams that come and train there. Butcher's box maybe. But no, I think it just inspires. It just inspires me, I guess, to just to just keep being original and leading to like obviously the butcher's box. They kind of leaned into the environment they were in and the kind of facility they got given. And same with Laker, they've got their thing, which is like pristine, beautiful, perfect, best of the best. And so I think it's just if anything, just inspires me to just keep being authentic, I guess, and just keep doing my thing and forging my way, not try and be like other people. And you can have success both ways, Yeah. So yeah, it's cool. It's inspirational for sure.
Yeah, very cool. So speaking of success, you started another company you talked about earlier. So the Biltong, is it Lean? Is it, I believe it's called Lean, correct?
Cool. Yeah, it's called Lean. Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you get involved? What made you start that that company?
Yeah. So my dad's been making biltong. So for those who don't know, biltong, I hate saying it's like beef jerky because it's not, but it's probably the most similar thing. So it's dried meat, dried beef. And so dad's been making biltong for over 20 years. It's a South African product. And so he just sells it locally. He always open up little shops and just sells it to the people in the neighborhood. And it's such a great product. People love it. It's so healthy. Like it's really high in protein, really low in carbohydrates, and it's low in sugar. It's a great snack. It's tasty, really tasty. And so I thought surely we can take this product and ship it around the country, And the challenge is that most beef jerky sits on shelves or hangs on a shelf forever. So it has to be either really dry, it's almost like tasting like eating cardboard. It's so dry, or they have to pump it full of preservatives to keep it fresh, So our idea was to be different in the sense that we want to do packed to order and send it straight to the consumer. So we'll never do like wholesale. We won't put it in the supermarkets. We'll just, if you order it, we'll take it off the shelf. We'll cut it fresh, box it up and send it to you. So you get like fresh, tender, dried meat rather than something that tastes like cardboard or that's got preservatives. So yeah, just a great healthy snack. And we do them in these little tubes. Let me show you a tube. Whoa. There we go. Got it all on hand. So yeah, there's little 100-gram tubes.
Okay.
So it's a nice, so you kind of throw it down in your gym bag or in your golf bag or, take it in the car. And it's just a nice, easy way to pop it open and take your meat out of there. So it's pretty exciting. We only just launched 2 weeks ago, so it's pretty fresh. But I'm excited for the new year. It's going to be my main thing, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So have you gotten a bunch of orders already so far?
Yeah. I mean, so we did a bit of a soft launch and just kind of relied on my followers in Australia. And that's been amazing. Like lots of good support. Yeah. And then in the new year, I'm just banking up some content to really push out lots of content in the new year and run some ads and try and really spread the word. And see if I can make it something substantial. Yeah.
Yeah. So are you gonna make like a sexy video of you with your shirt off and like water spraying up in the air and like you just slowly like taking a bite of like the biltong?
The content will be cinematic. It'll be beautiful. Yeah. I think that's going to be. I don't know if I'll take my shirt off and do that, but I can. I'll put that on the suggestion. I'll put that on the list of content ideas for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely do that. So.
Yeah, but no, I do. I want to have a lot of fun with it. Like I don't want to do the classic like just product shots. I want to actually do some fun stuff and creative stuff to kind of just break through the noise. Like it is hard these days to kind of make a business work, an online business. So you've got to be a bit different in your content and be creative, have some fun. So yeah.
Yeah. So what online, what like, other companies that you've looked at that kind of you wanted to not copy, but like, you like their design of how they do the packaging, or like, how they do the logo. Have you got any like, people you kind of look up to kind of, make lean look good?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one company in the States that you probably know is Beam.
Mm, yeah.
The Beam,
Yeah.
the
Beam. Yeah.
drink, like
Yep.
Beam. So yeah, so they're like their branding and their look really inspired me. Just something that's clean and something that everyone can use and feel like it fits. It fits kind of in a lot of different spaces. So the goal was to be able to have a product that can, you can throw in a gym bag, you can throw in a golf bag, you can take it hiking or fishing, and it just kind of suits any environment. Yeah, so that was definitely a big inspiration for me, was Beam. Yeah, I've always loved design. Like I've always had a bit of an eye for design, and I basically designed this myself. Like probably like 80% of it was me, and then I just kind of took the idea to design it so I can just tidy this up and get it ready for print. But I did it all myself. So yeah, I love that stuff. I love creating products and branding. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. How long did it take to design the logo and all the packaging and stuff for you?
It's about a 6 month process from idea to, because like from having the idea to getting the packaging arrive here. It's probably about a 6 month process. Yeah. So yeah, it's an idea that me and my dad spoke about on the golf course one day, and it's cool to finally have it all here ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah. How cool is it to actually hold your physical product after, the
Oh,
6 month like whole process of talking about it, starting it, then getting a label, like, design, and then finally getting the package. Like, what was your first feeling of getting that first box of lean for you?
it's like you're like a kid at Christmas time. It's so exciting. I think everyone should do it, like as a side hustle, or just everyone should have a crack at just creating something. Like even if it doesn't amount to anything, just the process of having an idea and then actually creating a thing. Because these days you can do it, you can do it pretty cheaply as well. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. But if you have a bit of savings set aside, I would really encourage people to have a crack at creating a product of some sort. And who knows, maybe it's your next business and kind of get you out of your day job. But that is so rewarding to finally hold the thing that you've been dreaming about and see it in real life. It's unreal. So yeah, I love it. I guess we've done it a few times we used to own gyms, and we used to do merch. So you kind of come up with an idea from merch, and then you get it printed and pick out that box from the printer with all the
Yep.
t-shirts. It's so exciting. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very cool. So
Yeah.
so is that going to cause with lean and stuff, is that going to cause you to kind of slow down on the YouTube stuff, or like do you have like a set schedule of like what you want to do when to produce content for YouTube and work at lean at the same time, and also being a family guy too? That's one of the main things.
Yeah, so I think one part of my life I probably don't show enough is just the work I do for other clients. And I think for me, what I want to do is I want to put more time and effort into my own content. So I used to upload on YouTube 2 or 3 times a week.
Mm.
At the moment, it's more like once a fortnight, if I'm lucky. So I want to create more of my own content. And so starting my online business, the goal for this is to set me free from having to work for other clients. Because working for clients can be really time consuming. There's a lot of revisions back and forth. And
Yep.
I do a little bit of work outside the fitness space as well, just to pay the bills. So I do a bit of work in like for a few builders that build houses, so in the real estate kind of sector. And I'm grateful for that work. But I'd be lying if I say I enjoy it. Like, it's not what I want to be doing. And so I thought if I can start an online product that can, because dad produces the product, so I don't have to worry about producing the product. He's already got that sorted.
Yeah.
So I just buy the product from him, and then I can employ anyone to help me package and send it off. It's not a high skill or a hard job to do. So it should hopefully eventually be a business that's pretty hands off for me. And yes, the goal is for it to kind of replace some of the client work I've been doing, so that I can do more of my own YouTube videos, and which is what I love. Yeah, and I think I've shown myself at Down Under. The videos I created at Down Under performed really well, and the kind of Google payment this month looks a lot healthier than some of the other months. I've never relied on that. It's always been like a little nice to have.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing those 4 videos do really well, and seeing what the payment's going to be this month from Google for the AdSense, I'm like, oh man, if I can put more focus and effort here, maybe I can actually make this YouTube thing a real job. Like it's yeah, because it can be. People do it. People do full-time YouTube, and it's a bit of a dream for sure.
Yeah.
So
So speaking about
yeah.
full-time YouTube, so obviously Craig and Jazz from, Hustle Mate, like Team Richie. So have you heard their story, or have they lost like a significant amount of money from their company and stuff like that? Now they're kind of like vlogging every single day. So do you think vlogging every single day for you might be a possibility, or, would that be, a road to getting burnt out the whole time?
I'd love to give it a go at some stage for maybe like a month or something. I don't think I'll be able to sustain every day. Craig's amazing, man. He's such a great creator. Like people don't realize how hard it is to put out a video every day. And his stuff's always entertaining and engaging, and he's always giving out some kind of information, whether it's on training or business. So yeah, Craig and Jazz are really good friends, but I've definitely heard their story. So it's yeah, but I think he just loves doing it. I think when he's in the groove, like that's just what he loves doing. I think he would do that regardless of how the business was going.
True.
Because he just loves creating content and loves, so yeah, maybe. I mean, I think I'll definitely get back to doing at least 2 or 3 videos a week. I want to be a lot more regular. And I want to be okay with the fact that it's not always going to be down under championship weekends, like it's going to be in the backyard training. And the fact that you say you like my training videos and, my little quirks, like saying "sa" before I do a set of whatever, that makes me feel, maybe maybe it's not that dumb. Maybe people do care. Maybe it is okay to just create little videos around home. So I think I can get in my head sometimes and go, I'm not at the CrossFit Games. Like, what's the point of making a video at home, having an ice bath? But people care. People do watch that stuff.
Yeah.
It's relatable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like watching your content. So every time a new video comes up, I try to watch it, that day or whatnot. So I try to get as much as I can in, if I'm not with the kids or not. But yeah, that's the reason why I had you on the podcast again, because I like your content and stuff.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it means a lot. And yeah, I mean that's the most rewarding thing is this. Like the most rewarding thing is going to an event and meeting someone to watch your videos, or jumping on a podcast with someone to watch your videos. That's me like, oh man, this is really cool. Like it makes the internet actually worthwhile, because it can, yeah, a lot of stuff out there is so negative, and the internet and social media can get such a bad rap, but this stuff's where the value is, like this is real. This is like a real connection, a real conversation, and it's comes from me making a stupid YouTube video in the backyard, So, that's cool. I love that. I love that part about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool for me too as well, because I'll have somebody that's never seen a podcast or never heard a podcast of mine, and all of a sudden like they'll see me at the gym and like, oh, I just heard your podcast, and like you do a great job, and it's just like, oh, really you think so?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty cool to get that gratification and whatnot, but like I don't want it to go to my head. I just want to talk to people that I think that's interesting and get another side of them that pretty much no one else gets a side of. So
Yeah, that's cool, man. I love that. Yeah, and I think that's what's so valuable about podcasting. It's not the highlight reel you see on Instagram. It's actually, yeah, it's much deeper, and yeah, like you said, you get to see another side of someone. So I love podcasts. So it's great.
Yeah. How was it being on Savant's podcast for like an hour and a half, or however long he talks?
Yeah, I think it was 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, I've always been a fan of him. Like love him or hate him. He's definitely a good interviewer. He definitely does a good job at pulling things out of you and asking good questions. Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, no, it was good. He's a good dude, man. I think he's a good dude underneath it. Underneath it all, he might rub some people up the wrong way and say things that offend people, but he just speaks his mind, and I think we should all be allowed to do that. So
yeah, exactly. So do you get nervous when you go on his show at all, or do you, like, did you get little butterflies when you were like, okay, he wants me to be on this show at this date and time, all right, I gotta click this link. So do you get like a little butterflies here and there once in a while?
a little bit, yeah. I mean, less now, because I think I'm getting to the age now where I start to care less. How you get older, you start to care less about what people think.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm finally getting to that age. I'm 37 now, so I'm starting to care less about what people think, and just my life's an open book now, more or less. So in the past, you want to keep things close to your chest and not share certain things. But no, I'd lie if I say I wasn't a bit nervous going on there. Like I was like, what's this guy going to ask me? I could go anywhere.
Yeah.
You never know with him. So, but no, it was fun. I loved it.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Just wait till you turn 40. Then it really switches to like you do not give a flying fuck about anything. So you're just like
Yeah.
whatever. I'm
Yeah.
44, and it's like at the point I'm like, "Nah, I don't care. Whatever. Oh
Yeah.
well." And
Exactly.
like, yeah, my son's like, "Oh, this happened and this happened. Like, what are we gonna do?" And I'm like, "It's fine. Figure something
Yeah.
out." So
My wife loves me. My daughter loves me. It's going to be all good, you know.
yeah,
It doesn't
exactly.
matter what it doesn't matter what that person thinks or says. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I have is you were on like I think it was a Savad. So you were talking to him when you turned 18, you became like a into you became faithful to God and stuff like that. So I I have so I have my thinking of it, and I know you had your son passed away too as well. So how how do you see that and be like, okay, I'm still gonna worship God even though this like really shitty thing happened? Because, for example, for me, I worked in a kid's emergency room, and we one of the kids we I had to go to a code because it was a kid with cancer, and so literally like when I was doing chest compressions on the kid, it was the size of my son at the same time. They're almost like the same age. And so like all I heard was like the banging of the head of the plastic underneath the board. I'm sorry, the person didn't make it. So, and I completely
Mm.
lost it. And I'm like, how can God do something like this to such a little person? Like
Yeah.
what's like, how are you like faithful to God even though like that happened to you? Like, because it's really hard for me to
Yeah.
to see that, because I see all these people dying, like not all the time, but like all this like crazy like bad stuff happening, and it's just like, why would you let this happen?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good question. I think if you're gonna blame God for bad stuff that happens, you also have to give him praise for the good stuff. And I think people are quick to say, "Oh, why does God let all this bad stuff happen? Like, why does he allow all this bad stuff?" But they'll never give him praise for the good stuff.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so as a Christian, I think what I believe is that we live in a broken world. So what that means is that you know just real quick, like if you go back to the beginning of the Bible, it talks about
Mhm.
Adam sinning. So sin enters the world, and then things get messy. So I believe that bad things happen to good people and bad people, and good things happen to bad people and good people. Like there's a verse in the Bible where it says the rain falls on the just and the unjust. It's just the way the life. This is the way the life is. So um, yeah, I mean, if it'd be so easy to believe in God if things were perfect. Like
Yeah, true.
if
Yeah.
if we were controlled by God, like if we didn't have free will, if He just controlled us and He kept everything perfect, you know, um, what's what reward is it loving someone who's actually controlling you to love them? So we've got free will, so we can do whatever we want, and therefore people do bad things and bad things happen. So yeah, so I think God doesn't control us. I guess that's the main way I would answer is that He doesn't control
Hmm.
us, and also we do live in a world that's not the way that He intended. So He never intended for death to enter the world. So yeah, so I mean, it's believe me, when my son passed away, I had it out with God. Like it was I had many nights where I would be yelling and swearing at God, and had it out with him because I was just like so angry. Um, but I just had this understanding somehow. I just had this understanding that this wasn't. He didn't want this to happen. Like it's not. He didn't make this happen.
Hmm.
Um, and I still believe, even though it's a terrible thing, I still believe that he's real. And I still believe that he's got a plan for my life, and that he's gonna make it right. That's the whole story about the Bible. Is God promises that He's going to redeem everything and make it right. In the end of it. So I choose to hold on to that hope, I guess. And people might look at that and go, "Oh, that's just false hope and it's just weakness." But I would rather have hope. I would rather hold on to that hope that my son's with God in heaven. I'm going to see him one day again. I'd rather hold on to that hope than not have it. So yeah, so people might think it's just a blind kind of hoping to make yourself feel better and get through life. But yeah, that's for me. That's very real. It's that yeah, I do believe He's real, regardless of how bad things get.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, there's a story in the Bible of a guy called Job, and yeah, he's a classic example of everything went wrong. His kids died, his wife left him. He got sick, and he still said, even though all this happens, I still praise you, God. Like I still trust that you're real, and yeah. So that's I guess I hope that answers some of it. It's a tough one to
Yeah, yeah,
answer, but um, things aren't. Life isn't fair. Life's broken for sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
I always, I know when you were talking about that, I was thinking like everyone hones in on the negatives, not the positives. And
yeah.
so I'm like, okay, I got to look at the positives of like, other things that I've seen. Maybe this kid with cancer didn't want to live like that anymore. And so that's the reason why, they were, you know, went up to heaven or
Who
whatnot.
knows?
So yeah, who knows? Like, but I don't know. It's just like being in the medical field for for so long, you see all this
Oh,
like, especially in the emergency room, you see all this like crazy stuff like shootings, stabbings, like killings, like all this like, people dying of cancer, people coding for no reason and all that stuff. And it's just like
so
I'm
bad.
not yeah, I'm not in that world anymore. Like I think 4 or 5 years past that, but it's just like there's some like episodes or some scenes that I've worked with that will never leave my head ever.
Yeah,
So, and
yeah,
it's just like
for
it's
sure.
hard. So
Yeah, and I think ultimately, we'd like to try and explain things, and I'd like to come up with an answer that makes sense. But the reality is, there are some stuff that I will never know, that I won't understand,
yeah,
and I'll have to just ask God one day, like, what was up with that dude? Like, I don't get it. And I'm okay with that as well. I'm okay with not knowing it all. But I've heard this great story the other day of this is a little story to kind of explain whether something is good or bad. Like this guy bought his son a horse, and people were like, "Oh, what a lucky son!" Like what a blessing. He's got a
mhm,
horse,
yeah, yeah,
and the dad's like, "Oh, we'll see. I don't know. Is the horse a blessing or is it a curse? I don't know." And then the son falls off the horse and breaks his back, and he's paralyzed. And the guy's like, "Oh, well, what a curse. Like your son's in a wheelchair now." He's like, "Well, is it a blessing or is it a curse?" And then a few years later, all the young men got enrolled, had to go to the war, but he couldn't be enrolled to go to the war because he was in a wheelchair. So they're like, "Oh, your son is so blessed, doesn't have to go to the war." It's like, "Well, we'll see. Is it a blessing? Is it a curse?" So we don't know. Like something, it depends on how you look at it. Like
yeah, yeah,
we don't know. We look at it and go, "Oh, that's so bad." God's not real. How can He let this happen? We're like, well, just wait and see. Just wait and see how it turns out. Like we're kind of like we're stuck on this page today. Like I look at our life as like a book or a story, and we're stuck on this page right now, right here. Is all we can see, is all we control is like this moment. Whereas God's the author for me. Like He sees the whole book. He can move between the pages, and He can go to the end and go to the back. And it's we've got to let the chapters play out, and I just trust that the story's going to end well. And that's kind of what faith is for me. So hopefully that kind of helps people understand how I view it anyway a little bit.
yeah. No, that helps. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Well, that's how I can watch my son die and still love God. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Very cool.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like we ended it almost on a bad, like a
Nah, I love it,
interesting
bro.
note,
I,
but
yeah,
we got our rapid fire questions. I know we haven't talked in like two and a
let's
half
go.
years, so they're not rapid fire. You can take as long as you want. So obviously you kind of talked about your company before, your company Lean before. Do you have any other goals the rest of the year you want to hit? Another deadlift PR or more YouTube content. Like what's it can be personal and business wise.
So personal, I want to get more mobile, more flexible, because I feel like my squatting is limited by my mobility. So
Mhm.
I'm actually spending every day now. I'm spending 20 minutes of mobility and stretching, which I've never done in my life. I've always like gone, stretching doesn't work. Like
Yeah.
so, like I feel like I finally come to terms with it that I'm not going to increase my back squat. It was my deadlift, by the way, that I PR'd. I think my deadlift at Aleka, not the
Yeah,
back squat.
oh, but did I say
Um,
back squat? I'm sorry, I meant
I think,
deadlift.
yeah, my back squat's rubbish. Like, so big goal this year is I want to squat 180 kgs. I don't know how many pounds it is for your listeners.
Hold on.
Uh,
Well, you said 180,
yeah, 180 kgs is what I like to squat.
396.
396, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Let's make it 400. I like to squat 40 pounds.
Yeah, let's
You
go.
know, yeah, but yeah. So I'm about 20 kgs off, like 45 pounds off, I think. But yeah, I think mobility is the thing that's holding me back. So that's a fitness goal for sure. Business goal is just to get lean successful, I guess. Like just we're just invested some money into it, so now just hoping to kind of get it profitable and get the word out. So that's definitely a business goal, is to just get this new business humming. So yeah, man, those are two goals for sure.
Okay. All right. So next question. So what is your favorite book other than the Bible?
Ooh,
It could
There's
be
a little
fiction.
fine.
It could be fiction or nonfiction. Sorry, I forgot to add that.
Yeah, no, that's right. No, I don't really read fictional books much, but there's a book called The Richest Man in Babylon.
Hmm.
The Richest Man in Babylon. It's a finance book. It's a little book. You probably read it within like 2 days, 2 or 3 days. But that's probably the book that's had the most impact on my life, on my financial life anyway. There's some really nice, simple principles to do well with your money. So, The Richest Man in Babylon. Highly recommend it. Yeah,
Okay, awesome, awesome.
yeah.
What is something? I wish I went back to the podcast like for this question, but what is something that you like to do but no one else knows about?
Oh, no one else knows about. Sheesh. I eat more chocolate than people know for sure. Like when I stop at the service station to fill up my car, yeah, I pick up a chocolate most times. You know, like I think people are probably surprised at how much chocolate I eat. So I do enjoy smashing a chocolate bar, and most people probably don't know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so what's your go-to chocolate bar?
I love a Kit Kat,
Okay.
and I love. Do you guys get Aero over there?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
little bubbles inside. Yeah,
Hmm.
Aero. Yeah, so yeah, Kit Kat and Aero are probably my go-tos. Love Turkish Delight. Yeah, I've got a few favorites.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
If my go-to is Reese's peanut butter cups by far.
Oh, yeah, I do like those. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're
But
good.
I really don't eat them because obviously my blood sugar would just shoot through the roof from my diabetes. So
Yeah,
I kind of
yeah, yeah,
like take it easy on that. So
yeah. Good, good. Hopefully, I'll eat more of this stuff this year and less chocolate. Yeah,
yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, you can make a chocolate flavored one.
yeah. Good to try and do that. Yeah,
I
true.
don't could be a possibility.
Yeah, yeah.
So next question. So what is in your gym bag now, other than lean?
I always have a belt. Yeah, like a weight belt, lifting belt, but only really used for squatting heavy. Skipping rope, like a RPM speed rope. Um, and then I work with this company, or I use a grip called Sugar Grips. It's like a New
Mhm.
Zealand company started in New Zealand. Great grips. But that's about it. Just grips. Oh, lifters. I've got my Nike Romaleos. Um, yeah, so my lifters, my belt, my grips, and my rope. That's pretty much
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
really don't need a bag because you pretty much train at the house anyway. So
yeah. Exactly. Unless I travel or I go to the local box every now and then. Yeah, I just throw it in the bag and go. Um,
nice.
yeah,
Very
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So
It's funny. I try and I started my CrossFit gym back in 2011 when in New Zealand you couldn't actually buy grips or belts. There was no one selling that stuff. So when I started CrossFit, it was kind of like just bare hands, no knee sleeves, no nothing. So I still try and keep it pretty raw. Like try not to put too much armor on my body. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
typically see that with like old like people over 40. They wear like the knee sleeves, the
yeah,
weight belt, the wrist wraps, like the elbow sleeve
yeah.
and all that stuff. You're just like, are you playing rugby or football or like what's the deal with this?
Exactly.
They're like,
Yeah,
oh, I'm old, man. I'm old. I'm like, okay, all right, we'll do that.
yeah,
All right. So
yeah.
next question: shame belt or weight belt?
Did you say shame belt?
Yeah, it's like the shame belt. Do you put your weight belt underneath your shirt or
Oh,
do you put it over the belt?
oh, I do a bit of both. Yeah, if I remember, I put it underneath, but often I find like it like pinches my skin. So if I'm like squatting really heavy and I put it directly over my tummy, like I feel like it actually like pinches my skin. So most of the time over the top.
Okay.
Um, Unless I want to look good for a video, I'll pop it underneath my shirt. But so I dabble in both. Yeah,
Okay, awesome.
yeah.
All right, so next question. So how do you want people to know you as?
Um, I think I want people to. I'd love people to know me as like being selfless. So being outwards focused. Yeah, I struggle with people that it's all about them, and So I really want to be someone who's yeah, just selfless and kind of interested in other people. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, awesome. And then last question. So where can people reach out to you if they have any questions about like, starting a YouTube channel or, kind of getting the content creation business or even the biltong business?
Yeah, for sure. Instagram DMs is by far the best way. So yeah, just my full name, Wykie Etsebeth on Instagram. That's probably the best way. Just DM me there. Yeah, I do
Awesome.
check all my comments on my YouTube. Yeah, if you watch my YouTube videos, I do read all the comments, so you can always comment there as well. But I can DMs. Yeah,
Yeah. How hard is it to respond to every single comment?
yeah, it's tough. I try and make time for it, but yeah, it's actually really hard. I don't get that many comments. It's interesting, like with YouTube videos, if you ask a question, you'll get lots of comments, and which is great for the algorithm. And I always forget to do that. It's always nice to ask a question in the video, at least to try and get some engagement. But yeah, it's amazing how much it differs from not asking a question to asking the opinion of the audience. So I should ask some more questions on there. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, hey, thank you very much for coming on the show.
It was a blast.
I can't believe it's been I keep on saying like 2.5 years, but it feels like it's been like not even a year. So,
Yeah.
Great conversation and everything. And thank you for your time for, doing this.
Yeah, of course, man. Anytime. I love it. Love what you do as well.
Awesome.